good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you might be. This is Sue Lawton and Deb, are you there?
I am here, yes. You went away for a minute. I didn't hear you.
Ah, okay. Anyway, we are here today to talk about emotions buried alive that are never
Mhm.
good for you because they will spring out when you least expect it. We have suggestions today for you to help you identify if you have any suppressed or hidden issues that could come out when you would like it the least. We have several fun things we're going to share with you so that you will feel less guilty and less to blame. We want anybody to grab your citrus oils and throw them everywhere right now, all over you, and inhale deeply. Ready?
I'm ready, and I'm citrus, so I'm good to go.
Right. Well, do you want to be happy, Deb?
I do.
Okay, then you want to let go of what's gone, be grateful for what remains, and look forward to what is coming. Dum da dum, dum 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 dum. I believe
I was
Bergamot.
just going to do that. Like the theme from Jaws, what's coming? Yeah,
Yes,
no, and the part of that is to let go of what's already happened, and that's where so many of us get tripped up because we hang on to stuff that we shouldn't be.
yes. Okay, how do I know if I might have some unresolved issues that could be blocking my happiness or limiting me in some way or helping me be comfortable but not necessarily happy?
Right.
So here's a list of things that if you notice these things about yourself, you may want to consider some of our techniques for helping you express and relieve the hidden, blocked, buried, unfriendly emotions. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, for the list is very extensive, and it really affects everyone a little bit differently. Like for me, if I'm not expressing my emotions, I turn to the food. I want to go in that refrigerator, and you're trying to fill the void. For other people, it's using alcohol. Not only does it numb the pain, but they want to use it to try to make you forget a lot of what was going on.
Well, and part of that with our not being permitted to express, or we feel we cannot express how we really feel, is we stuff food in
Mhm.
our mouth so we won't say what we want. So then we
That's
are
right.
not going to properly digest what's going on around us. But right now, let's just talk about the general list that we put together today to help you understand that if you are suffering from being overly sensitive, increased stress levels, depression and
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, attitudes of superiority, weight gain, sleepiness, loss of interest in things that you used to care deeply about, a general
Right.
grumpy attitude, you take everything personally, you're feeling alone, you're giving other people the silent treatment. That's one of my favorites, the silent
Uh-huh.
treatment.
Yeah, that one's tough.
Yeah, because it's like if you grow up with that, it's hard not to respond to that.
Right.
But somebody bottles up their emotions, it's a cry for help. It's a silent one. It is another coping mechanism to keep things inside and for the person to keep it together. It can be also
Right.
used as a way to let someone know you are not happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
If this is
Yep.
a habit and you recognize that the silent treatment is not allowing you to resolve issues, you need to figure out what the real fear is, not the current distraction.
Right.
Okay?
Right. We
Um,
do a lot of avoidance, hitting the bottle, Our memory sometimes really suffers when we're going through this, when we don't express our emotions clearly. And of course, deterioration of gut health. You know, pain in the gut is a real thing, and issues with digestion and everything really is impacted, you know. And I know that for a lot of people, like we mentioned, being overly sensitive, a lot of people really are. So when you're going through this stage, even the littlest thing can just make you um, interpret things the wrong way, or to irritate someone. So we really need to get all our feelings out and about.
Right, and sometimes you can suffer from an attitude of superiority. You could have suppressed emotions that can inflame antagonistic anger that
Mm-hmm.
motivates an individual to challenge the beliefs or feelings of others, particularly of those in authority. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you've had any of these things become personality traits and you are not comfortable noticing that this is how you handle challenges, or if you get a bad feeling about something at a meeting or a group session, or even
Right.
getting the communication from the cable company, and you suddenly have a bad, idea,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm just asking to consider finding a road to expression. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about emotions being unexpressed, and that's how they get suppressed. So let's talk about what has happened in our lives that we may have been taught to suppress response, or it was safer to not participate.
Right. Well, my role in the family, and I'm sure others, I was the mediator. I did not like conflict. So I was always the one trying to soothe both sides. And by doing that, a lot of times I held everything inside. So that's really can be a trigger for suppressed emotions. So you want to, if you're the type of person that wants to keep the peace, then you're probably not expressing how you feel.
Right. And if you're living your life, or there are aspects of your life or topics
Mm-hmm.
within your life that you learned behavior from other people, like when I was growing up, we were taught from a very young age that at funerals, nobody cries.
Mm-hmm.
And we got beat if we cried because we were upset that somebody died. So we learned don't express, don't trust tears. And that was probably
Right.
not an intentional thing. It was more of a control issue because they were having trouble with their emotions.
Right.
So, what I'm saying is, if you find that your attitude is reflective of trying to please somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
rather than let whatever feeling we're talking about be yours to express, because all feelings
Mm-hmm.
are valid. We've talked about this
Absolutely.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you feel angry or you feel rejected or you feel abandoned, it doesn't matter what the feeling is, it's yours.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
have a right to expression. If it's not safe for you to express verbally or face to face, then sit down and write about it. And we're going to talk about different ways to do that. But it can't just get stuffed in the trash can inside of you, because
Right.
eventually it is going to frame how you look at everything, but most particular, how you look at your happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of times when you're not expressing your emotions, you're actually drawing inward and you're not sharing with others. You're not revealing your true self. And you become very I don't mean self-centered in the wrong way, but you're just very focused on yourself and you're not looking outward, and you're definitely not experiencing joy in the day to day. So we want to undo this and give everybody ways to get those feelings out.
Right, because one of the things that can happen is people can escape into their brain, and they're so busy
Mm-hmm.
only listening to their thoughts and not allowing feelings to process.
Mm-hmm.
They think about how they should or should not be feeling. And this
Mm-hmm.
really hard because if you're busy thinking and rationalizing and blaming, or being a hypochondriac and accepting blame for everyone else's everything, there are extremes everywhere, and there are professionals that if this has made you severely unhappy, you should definitely seek their help. I'm just
Mhm.
offering suggestions on how you can help yourself. And this is just explaining why and why it's important for you to consider there may be some things stored up that cause you perhaps to overreact to situations that may have not been fair, but your reaction may be disproportionate to the actual intended disaster. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And another big major thing to focus on is when you suddenly like don't have any interest in doing things that you normally did, whether it's a hobby or getting together with friends, like girls' night out. If you suddenly find yourself withdrawing from those things and not having interest, or like if you used to paint or scrapbook or any of those things, and now you don't want to do it, it's definitely a trigger that there are unexpressed emotions, and we need to find a way to release them.
Okay, now we provided you with two handouts. One of the
Mm-hmm.
handouts lists in detail some of the um, signs we discussed with you earlier that could be an alert for you to go like, wow, there may be something here I thought was resolved that maybe is not. Nothing
Right.
about what we're discussing is a judgment of you, your lifestyle. We are merely offering ways because some people say I'm unhappy and I don't know why. Or when Uncle Louis died, I was surprised at the memories I got. I was surprised at my grief response.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those things happen, but we're just trying to give you clues as to if you don't feel good about you, where you can start. And then if you need professional help, by all means, get some professional help. But in the
Oh, sure.
meantime, you have oils and you have resources you can use on your own
Mm-hmm.
to see if you can't have a more pleasing life. Just so you know,
Right.
at the bottom of the page, oh, one was the 10 physical and mental signs of suppressed emotions.
Right.
We give full credit to the people who organized it for us. And the other
Mm-hmm.
one is
The psychological journaling document, 30 journaling prompts for self-reflection and self-discovery.
right. And the reason that one is important is some people do journaling already, but it tends to be a book of whining.
Wine, wine, wine.
Not the kind of wine that you guys drink, but the oh poor me kind of a pity pot book that you know what is my response? You can have a pity pot for 15 minutes a day, set a timer, get over it, and then just get on with doing something fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The bottom of the page we talked about first was throat. People who get chronic throat issues, chronic
Right.
sinus issues. Understand it's because you are not verbalizing or expressing feelings on a regular basis. You get chronic
Mm-hmm.
stomach issues, it's because you're not digesting
Okay.
what you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, what you're feeling about. Liver, pancreas, gallbladder, spleen, all those have to do with stored up emotions.
Right. Anger. Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we were talking the other day with friends of ours who were talking about the when their uncle died, they were amazed how his house was that of a hoarder, and no one knew that because he was a professional. He was impeccable in his appearance. He was impeccable at work. He had great integrity, but his wife had passed 20 years before, and he'd never had anyone to the house after that. And so when the nieces and nephews and cousins went over to the house, they went like, "Oh my God, we had no idea." One of the habits or one of the triggers of a severe loss can set up what we call a nesting syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And many times the OCD behavior of not being able to throw things out or, collecting things of an unusual nature
Mm-hmm.
in a very closed, protected environment is their way of coping.
Right. But it also encloses them, it encapsulates them further when they're like that. So we have to be aware of that.
Yes, so let's talk about why this is part one. This is part one because this is just to kick the door open to your feelings and
Mm-hmm.
helping you figure out maybe a one or two options on expression. And then next Wednesday, we're going to have part two where we get into the nitty gritty of helping you with obligation, guilt, self judgment, things that are really hard wired into people that hopefully with recognition you can unplug and just get past the blame game and the lamentation game and get
Mm-hmm.
on with living your life.
Right.
Problems do not go away. They must be worked through or else they remain forever a barrier to the growth and development of the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Now open the lock. Frankincense, clary sage, geranium. Whatever's holding that pressure cooker together inside of you that may have some stored up, unresolved surprises, this particular blend can be very helpful. And what is my warning label about clary sage? Never mix clary.
Don't have alcohol when you're using clary sage.
Right. Never, ever, ever mix alcohol and clary sage. Clary sage is about making you clearly aware of your feelings and your talents. But if you add alcohol or a high concentration of ice cream or sugar and clary sage, you will tip to the dark side.
Mm-hmm. And you're not just going to have dreams, but they can be really nightmarish if you're going to do that. So that was a great recommendation.
Somebody
I
just
know
wrote,
I don't want to have those type of nightmares.
me either. Where do we find the handouts? Which section is there? Do they have a little square like I have, Deb, that says handouts?
It says handouts, it's the number 2. If you can't see them, to open them up, you need to hit the little sideways arrow, and then they'll open up and you'll see 2 Word documents there.
Does that
It's
help?
under where they can write in questions
Okay. Yeah, that's where it is on
on
my
the,
screen too. I wasn't sure. Hope you guys
yeah,
can find it. Okay. Let's get started. Let's talk about simple things like throat, head, and hands.
right.
If you want to get
Okay.
started in trusting your feelings and having respect for the richness that is you, I've given you some magic blends here. Magic blends. Let's
Mhm.
talk about the
Those are
magic
great.
blends, Miss Deb.
Oh, they're wonderful. Lemongrass, arborvitae, lavender, one of my favorites. It's really, really great at helping you get things out.
Finish the process. And these go
Uh-huh.
on your throat, your head, the back of your neck, the bottoms of your feet, your hands. The reason you do that is creativity flows through the hands. If you're going to be journaling or you're going to be expressing, you want to put oils on the hands, rub them together. The lemongrass,
Mm-hmm.
arborvitae, and lavender is to help release things that were put there a long time ago. Marjoram and rosemary is if you are already going through the process
Right.
of trying to resolve old stuff that keeps things flowing but keeps you in moderation.
You
Lime,
mean it doesn't let it come rushing out. We're going to be able to deal with it a little bit at a time.
lime and Melissa. Lime and Melissa is to help you get rid of hard wiring. You're going to rewire. You're going to write over the phrase of not being good enough for the phrase of I've always been enough. Now it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yes.
Here's a long one:
And
black pepper, coriander, juniper berry. This is in particular for suppressed rage. For you rageaholics, use this one.
Is that a good one to rub on our across our bellies to help with that?
Well, yes, if your rage starts from your belly, some people it starts from their toes. Some
Okay.
people it's their low back all of a sudden gets very painful, and then they go, I don't care, I'm going to say it anyway. So black pepper, coriander, and juniper berry will help you put things back in perspective.
Okay.
And if you want to get started in process, forgiveness is very big.
It is. Yep. The first person that we need to forgive is ourselves. You know, so many of us beat ourselves up. We judge ourselves. We condemn ourselves. We criticize ourselves. And as you've always said, there's so many things that we could not know. And there's people in our lives that just not capable of doing the things that we expect of them. So forgive yourself first, and then work on forgiving others.
Right. A lot of times, if we can do something, we project on other people that they're also capable. Surprisingly, they're not, including parents.
Right.
Parents, grandparents, relatives, they are not capable. And a lot of times, when you are hurt by their actions or their comments, they have no way of understanding why something they would say could hurt your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So stop projecting on them that they have the same depth of feelings that you do, that they have the same sensitivities. That's not fair to you or them.
Right.
Think of them as special people, and they're doing the best they can. Is this
And
helpful?
I was just going to say that's a hard thing to do, especially as a child that may have been criticized by their parents and you're just looking for more from them. But I know Sue made me realize that in my own family, that my expectations of them were they weren't realistic. I was projecting what I wanted onto them, but they just couldn't give it. So when you finally come to terms with that, it makes the relationship so much better.
Right. To quote my husband, one of the gifts you gave me early in our relationship was to expect nothing from others, and that way I'm never disappointed. And he said, you never said expect nothing from your family, but it works. If you expect nothing, no unexpressed expectations, you can't be disappointed. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, expression is vital. You need to
Mm-hmm.
understand when you feel something, that's emotion. Once emotion starts and you block it, then the process of motion is interrupted. Once it's blocked, frozen places that affect your perception start occurring. And
Mm-hmm.
what's the cool thing when something starts to freeze? What happens? The
Every
coldness goes from the edges
inward.
inward, and the more you are frozen, the fewer emotions you can process. And some people
Right.
say, I like being there. I don't have to feel anything. Well,
That's not always the best thing. It's the easier thing sometimes.
I know, and that's why people drink or they take drugs. I mean, the Prozac Nation
Mm-hmm.
is just hysterical to me. But
Right.
if you want to feel nothing and you would be happy with that, then your physical body would thrive. If you have
Mm-hmm.
buried emotions and you are suffering physically with some malady, it's because you're not happy with suppression.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we have to find a way to unfreeze ourselves.
Right. And if you're like, as kids, our emotions were arbitrated because we were told there's no crying at funerals. Well, that was, that was their problem, and they imposed it upon us. It's like, you can
Mm-hmm.
feel bad, just don't express it. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
But we don't really care what other people think as adults, do we?
No, we shouldn't. No.
Okay, if you're busy seeking the approval of others or the
Mm-hmm.
approval of somebody you've put on a pedestal, that means you don't trust yourself. And you can't have peace unless you trust yourself.
Right. And that's tough because we didn't grow up with a lot of that approval, so we were always seeking it. I mean, I know I was always seeking it from other people. So that really that's a roller coaster if you're going to be like that. So you want to get off that.
Okay, I am very big on scream therapy, particularly if you drive in New Jersey.
Yes.
Your windows closed, your air conditioning on, the music up, and scream just as loud as you can. Take really deep breaths and scream. And say whatever it is that you feel, even though you don't know what to do with the bad feeling. Screaming
Mm-hmm.
is great. Plus, on New Jersey roads, nobody cares. Okay?
That's true.
You expressing verbally is really important, but that may not be appropriate. Do we understand the difference?
Right. And I do the singing thing. If you are next to me and when I'm in my car, you'll see me, my head's bopping and I'm singing along very loudly and probably off key, but it's a great way to just release it and let it go when you're singing. It's wonderful. And again, in New Jersey, nobody cares. You could even have your windows open and they wouldn't care.
Yeah, I just don't let the bugs in. Okay?
Yeah.
Crying. If you feel overwhelmed and tears want to come, don't fight it. The longer you
Mm-hmm.
fight it, the more you fight it, the more uncomfortable. I always say give in, set the timer for 15 minutes, and just
Right.
get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel so much better. Walking. Some people, even people who are normally inactive or couch potatoes, if you're working through a feeling that you cannot identify, but you know it needs to be expressed, walk and hum, walk and make plans, walk and yell. It doesn't matter, but get in motion. If you physically are in motion, it goes back to your feelings are part of
Right.
motion.
Mm-hmm.
Finish the process. Some people
So
get
true.
lost in exercise. That's why there's some people who run 5 miles a day, who swim five
Right.
miles a day. They love the endorphin rush and they tell themselves they feel better when that's good to exercise, but there has to be moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And a lot of people, like you said, develop the obsessive compulsive traits and habits and rituals and things that go along with that. It's a way of protecting themselves and enclosing themselves in their feelings. So you want to be aware of that and try to break some of those habits as well. And if you can't do it by yourself, like Sue said, get help.
Right. And whenever we write out an expression, because some people will say, oh, I didn't realize how angry I was with Uncle Louie till after he died. Write him
Mm-hmm.
a letter. Dear Uncle Louie, I was very angry and frustrated with you because you would never help me with my math and you were a mechanical engineer. I knew you knew how. You've got to express it. And if you use your hands and you handwrite, not
Mm-hmm.
keyboard, not type, handwrite out your feeling, the
Right.
release is amazing. But don't show it to anybody. When you're
Right.
journaling, when you're writing the Dear Uncle Louie letters, please, this is for you to express, not for others to go, oh, you poor baby. Okay? Because then
Mm-hmm.
what are you living? You're living to other people's reaction, and that
Right.
hasn't satisfied you so far. So,
Nope. Again, you're back on that roller coaster.
yes. Now, these things really will help you in everyday life. If you had part of our list from the beginning, you have some symptoms, you have some issues. All of these suggestions can be very helpful, whatever minor or major issues you're working through. God bless Celeste. Deb has this great friend who got frozen in time when her husband died 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Talented person, gregarious, fun, but emotionally has never processed. And It's hard to be with her because she wants to talk about the same thing she did 20 years ago. She wants to have people's attitudes stay the same as they were 20 years ago. She whines and complains about how life changes. She's resisted the change because she couldn't accept it. God bless her.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if it's a big loss or you got reorganized out of a job. You got to sit down and write out your goals. On
Right.
our two different Facebook pages, we have several different PowerPoints for you on
Yep. On doing your goals and your vision boards. Absolutely.
living vision boards and goal setting. And you can
Mm-hmm.
keep it very simple. So we're not going to go over that right now. You can find those on Personal Peaceful Growth Calendar Facebook page or
Yes.
Hugfest One Facebook page, or
Mm-hmm.
write to us at
Happy Cal, HAPPYCAL 359 @gmail.com.
yes, Debbie is much more organized than I, and she has lists of things.
We'll be happy to forward that to you. It'll be fine. But it's just so important to have something to look forward to in the future. And doing the vision board, writing out your goals is really a positive way to do it. And stop beating yourselves up every day, right?
Right, and I'm very big on lists. I used to make my husband crazy. Guess who does lists now? I make lists for when I have to go and share information all over the world. I make lists, I make lines. I literally have a line to my doorway for 2 days before I leave on a trip. And it involves suitcases and boxes and handouts and all kinds of stuff. But that's how I check my list. I literally line it up by the door.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to set daily, weekly, or monthly intentions. The
Mm-hmm.
updated calendar that Deb and I put together is excellent for that.
Perfect.
Um,
I like to see at a glance what our weekly goals are, and that calendar gives us goals for each week, which helps us move this along.
right, and daily forgiveness. Forgive yourself for ducking. I call it ducking. Sometimes people will start to process feelings and they go, oh no, it's too big. I can't do it today. Forgive yourself for postponing happiness.
Mm-hmm.
What do I love most about myself today? I want you to put a gratitude book together. What do you love
Mm-hmm.
most about yourself today? And I don't care if it's as simple as the fact as I can breathe.
Mm-hmm.
In that gratitude book, you're going to list 3 things every day you are grateful for. You're going to
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say that seems really easy, but as you do it, they require a little bit more thought and a little bit more depth. So we're digging into our feelings, and that's going to be helpful too.
Yes.
It can't be the same type of 3 things every day.
Right. Like I'm grateful for sunflowers. I'm grateful for Japanese maples. And I'm grateful for the turtles that come up on the shore on my beach. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
was good. Now what? Okay.
Yeah, like tomorrow it can't be I'm grateful for the elm tree. It has to change a little bit.
You're going to go through lots of trees. Okay.
We
Practice
are.
actions create new affirmations and habits. New action is what is required for change.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit back and
And
say, rub a dub dub, thanks for the grub, I'm only eating healthy now. But then you bring home the same Doritos, the same Fritos, the same all kinds of interesting stuff that you brought home before. You got to shop in the produce section. You got to do things different.
mm-hmm. And you want to try to do one new thing a day, whether it's a new food, a new spice, a new activity, going out and taking a class. You want to explore new avenues just so that you're out of your normal routine.
Okay, 2 people wrote in at the same time, which is kind of interesting. I think one's driving in her car. Her spelling's almost as good as mine. Um, What they want to know, is this recorded? Yes, these are recorded and they will be posted on Facebook. You can write to
happycow359@gmail.com, and we will forward the listing to you and add you to our email list. We're happy to have you.
Right. We love sharing education with people because most of the people that are drawn to us are very smart, very sensitive, have many gifts and talents, but aren't always familiar with the fact they have lots of choices. You don't have to feel bad, and it's not your fault. Okay?
That's true.
Freedom. Let's talk about affirmations.
Yes.
Expression is about freedom because when you're totally honest with yourself, I didn't say you had to say it out loud, right? You have
Right.
a person that you have to report to who's a chauvinist of some kind, and you have to tolerate inappropriate language because you can't move jobs this week. You just have to focus on something else. You have to give yourself the personal freedom to focus on something else. Don't play back that he called you sweetie or honey or baby or sweet cheeks. You can't do that. It's not making you happy. Expression
Right.
is about, I am getting acquainted with me as I am.
Right. Accepting yourself as you are. That's right. Or I'm accepting my pain as only being temporary, that I know that it will go away.
And that's a very big point because a lot of people say, well, I lost my best friend. I lost my best job. It was my favorite thing in the whole world. It can never be right again. Well, you're right. Everything in your life has changed as of that moment. And you're right. You didn't have any control over it. But what you do have control over is how you process that pain, how you
Right.
process that memory, how you're able to pull out of it the good things about yourself you discovered in that relationship, in that job. You have to give yourself credit for being teachable, being lovable. Stop focusing on what you think is gone and focus on what you have learned.
Right. And a lot of this, like the one I'm open to experience of loving me, I took my lipstick and on my mirror in my bathroom, I put that I am lovable. So when I go in there and every morning, that's the first thing I see. It helps you work through this. And you're stating it, you're reading it, you're seeing it. It's a constant reminder of something positive and improving your own self-worth.
And one simple statement in the morning that's positive about yourself, if you say it 3 times before you get out of bed, I am telling you, your whole perspective shifts. It works every single day.
That's right.
I'm
Yep.
open to the experience of seeing good in me and my choices. Based
Right.
on
And
new information, I accept that I made the best possible choices at the time.
right. And it can, maybe later on we can look back and say maybe it wasn't, but at that time that was your best choice. So again, don't beat yourself up for it later on if you find out it wasn't.
No, give yourself for credit for making a new decision based on new information.
Right.
No lamentation. Lamentation is a tool of the dark side. It'll suck all the bright light out of you. That wasn't non-compliant, was it? I didn't mention a disease. Oh.
No, you didn't.
If you're new to journaling, all you need is a piece of paper.
Right.
Okay. You're going to write with your hand 3 new things a day for gratitude. This is just to get you going. Clean out a drawer. You all have drawers in your kitchen, in your bedroom, in your bathroom, in the what do you call the vanity closet where you keep your towels,
That's right.
stuff collects in shoe boxes. I've been in your bathrooms. I know it's there. And when you're writing out gratitude, this book is for you. It's not for anyone else. if there's any funny words that come to you that say, I'm feeling unsettled about Uncle Louis's last will and testament, whatever, write down the words, leave it in the book, and develop it later. Don't play it out in your head while you're trying to fall asleep. That's not good for you.
No. No, I was just going to say, it's great to keep a paper or a journal book, if that's what you choose to use, right next to your bed, because probably a lot of other people like me, those great ideas or thoughts come to you as you're ready to fall asleep.
Right, and that's why I gave you the page on
the journaling prompts.
Right, because for people who've had experience making lists, they find it very cathartic to make lists. Sometimes people start with what we call the bad list. All the people who ever offended me, and they spend a lot of time. And then when they think about it, they go, well, wait, this person was really good to me. And wait, that person was really good to me. So on their own, by getting rid of the list of people they're mad at, like if you guys watch Game of Thrones, there was a character on there who was amazing. She did things like every night before she went to bed, she said, I'm going to kill this one. I'm going to kill that one. It was Ariana. I'm going to kill this one. I'm going to kill that. And she was great because then as the story progressed, she had opportunities.
Okay.
I'm not recommending
I don't think.
But what I'm saying is I used to watch that and go like, wow, that's the opposite of what we want people to do. But it was effective. She was able to be peaceful because she had been so wronged and treated unfairly by so many people. The only way for her to get peace at night was to make the list of how she was going to get even.
Okay. I don't think we're suggesting that list, though.
No. Do not make a list of hits, okay? In New Jersey, we call them hits. I'm going to talk to a friend of mine about a hit, okay? Now,
okay, a lot of people bring their spirituality into journaling, and there's a lot of prompts to help you do that if you want to do that. What were you most blessed with during the week? And you can write that down in your journal. If you might be uncovering some of your spiritual gifts, or you might find things that bring you closer to your feeling with God or his presence, or so those are all things that you can write in your journal as well.
Right on. Whoops. Experienced writers make lists. Make lists of places you feel good. We want to refocus your journaling. Stop making it the blah, 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 whiny book. They weren't fair. That wasn't right. Journaling is about reporting the joy of our life. Make a list of favorite food. Make a list of special friends, happy events, upcoming events. And next week, we're going to tell you how to expand those lists. So you're going to spend time in recognizing you've always had virtues. Perhaps other people didn't point that out to you, or you never got confirmation when it was important to you, but you really do have virtues. And part of releasing and trusting yourself to deal with feelings is in expression. So there's going to be some good expressions, and there's going to be some expressions of I wasn't happy with how I handled that. But sometimes the answer was you had no way of knowing any different.
Right. Yeah, sometimes hindsight gives us a different insight than what we originally thought. But by doing this type of writing, you're going to find that other people that you didn't know before have similar virtues to you. You're going to have new experience come to you. And like Sue said, this is a much positive way to for things to put in your journal.
Whenever you have a feeling, even if you don't understand it or you can't name it, there's this wonderful oil company most of us know about that has a kit that helps process feelings too. And all of those are really good to work with, especially in the pre-diluted format.
Yes. Excellent.
But when dealing with oils, you must, for your benefit, do things consistently. So if you're going to set goals, if you're going to use oils and you're going to declare affirmations, it should be a daily event to keep you on track to achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an example.
I love it. I trust myself, I trust life, and I trust my friends. And that's so important. Trust is not overrated. It's really an important thing to have in your life.
And
But most of all, trusting yourself first.
and if you can't trust your friends, why are you hanging out with them?
That's true.
I'm sorry, that snuck out. Sorry. Part 2 will be next Wednesday, the 24th of May at 5 p.m. It will be posted later today. Journaling and gratitude to relieve old debris and emotions. Most people we've worked with understand the connection between what we think, what we eat, and how we feel. We are
Mm-hmm.
attacking one aspect, which is old feelings,
Right.
suppressed, not dealt with, that have affected us long term, affected how we looked at things, how we related to people, how we had rage at people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, family triggers can help you overreact to a simple policeman pulling you over to let you know perhaps you were going a little too fast.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen, but
Okay.
okay, so we look forward to part 2. We look forward to you exploring this. Have a great week and get out those papers and start writing.
Yes, and this will be posted either later today if our friend Paul is at home, or early tomorrow morning. We will have it on our Facebook pages. And if you were driving in the car and you didn't get the handouts, where are they going to write to, Deb?
Again, just write to Sue and I at happycal, HAPPYCAL 359. That's all together at gmail.com. happycal359 at gmail.com.
And we thank you all for joining us and for being able to take the risks to get to know yourself better and to like yourself better, because I think that's really important.
It is. It
Thank
is.
you, Miss Deb, for your time and efforts. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.